Hello everyone. This video is a continuation of Biological Science question paper solving of Gpstr 2022. Actually, this is a part 2. In part 1, I have solved all the 1 mark and 2 mark questions. In this video, I am going to solve all the descriptive part questions, the 3 mark questions and all the 4 mark questions. Please like the videos if you like my work, then share them and also subscribe to my channel. Okay. Now let's start discussing the answers of the remaining questions. Let's start with 3 mark questions. First question is question number 59. Mention the importance of alternate source of energy. See, fossil fuels, they are non-renewable sources of energy, which mean that they are not available in abundant quantities and they cannot be replenished again. Means once they finish, it is done. You cannot get them back again. So fossil fuels, they will continue to get exhausted if their consumption is not controlled. Therefore, it is far better to switch to an alternate source of energy. So this is the importance of alternate source of energy. And the most popular renewable energy sources currently, they are solar energy, wind energy and tidal energy. So next question. What is kinetic energy and potential energy? Write the formulae used to calculate kinetic energy and potential energy. So we have discussed these topics in our dynamics chapter in physics, right? So let's know what they are. The capacity to do work is called energy. This energy, it can be stored in different forms. Energy is one of the physical quantities as it is proportional to the mass of the object. When an object is at rest, the body is said to possess potential energy, and when the object is in motion, then the body is said to possess kinetic energy. Now they are asking us to write the formula used to calculate this kinetic energy and potential energy, right? So kinetic energy will be equal to half mv square, where m is the mass of the body and v the velocity of the body, and potential energy is equal to mgh, where m is the mass of the body, g is acceleration due to gravity and h is height of the body. Okay, so this much answer will do. This should give you full 3 marks if you have written answer something like this. Okay. See, 1 mark for kinetic energy, 1 mark for potential energy and 1 mark for their formula maybe. Or maybe they would have divided like this, I think. 1 mark for definitions of kinetic energy and potential energy, 1 mark for kinetic energy formula and 1 mark for potential energy formula. Okay. Next question. Mention the characteristics of a sound wave. So how do you decide that the wave is a sound wave? What is the nature of sound wave? See, the characteristics of sound waves are, first is that unlike light, sound cannot travel through a vacuum. Light can travel through a vacuum, right? But sound cannot travel through a vacuum. Second is that these sound waves, they are generally longitudinal waves. Remember, light waves were transverse waves, right? Next, refraction in sound, they occurs when the density of the atmosphere, it is traveling through changes. And then sound waves, they have the ability to bend around the obstacles. That means if you have a small hole also in the door, then whatever you speak, the other person standing outside the door can hear you. Okay. So these are the points. I have given 4 points. If you have written any 3 also among these, then you must get 3 marks. Okay. Next question. Draw the diagram to represent the magnetic field around a straight conductor carrying current. See, this type of a question, you don't need to write anything because clearly they are asking you to draw, right? Just to draw a conductor and then draw the magnetic field. That's all. I have explained you in the chapter of magnetism, right? When you hold a current carrying conductor, which is a straight rod maybe, you hold it in your hand such a way that your thumb comes up. The thumb will give you the direction of the current. And the other 4 fingers which are curled around this conductor, they will show you the magnetic field. Okay. So you mention that the arrow up and you write current, and then that circle, it will show you the magnetic field. There you write magnetic field. Okay. Symbols also will do. So this should give you full marks. Okay. Next question. A sound wave has a frequency of 2 kHz and wavelength 35 cm. Calculate the time taken by the sound to travel a distance of 1.5 kilometers. This is a simple sum, right? We have done this type of sums in our chapter sound. We have discussed all these. So what is given here? Frequency is given. It is given as kilohertz. So convert it into normal hertz. It will become 2 into 10 to the power 3 hertz. and then wavelength is 35 centimeter, convert it into meter, it will become 0.35 meters. And distance is given in kilometers, so convert it into meters. It will be 1.5 into 1000. That means it will be 1500 meters. Now we know that speed of the sound v, it will be equal to f into lambda, where f is the frequency and lambda is the wavelength. We know that frequency is 2 into 10 raised to 3 and wavelength is 0.35. We get the speed of the sound, it will be equal to 700 meter per second. But we have to calculate the time taken by the sound, right? So time taken will be equal to distance upon velocity. Distance is given, which is 1.5 kilometer or 1500 meters upon velocity. So the time taken should be 2.1 seconds. Next question. Draw a diagram of electrolytic refining of copper and label anode and anode mud. See, this is the diagram. Here you can see that there is anode, cathode, and then CuSO4 solution, because we are talking about electrolytic refining, right? And then something is remaining there below in the beaker, that is anode mud. So this much figure will do enough. But then I thought that I will explain this also. But don't worry, you don't need to write all this in the exam if so much question has come. Okay, just I wanted to give few points on what is this, because in future also maybe HSTR students also, those aspirants also may watch this video, right? Or maybe you also, maybe you want to know what is electrolytic refining. With that intention, I've just put few points on that. So extraction and purification of metals that are obtained by refining methods, this is known as electrolytic refining. And then if the metal is impure metal, then it is kept as anode here, and a pure metal, it is made as cathode. Then soluble salt from the same metal, it is used as an electrolyte. When an electric current will pass through it, pure metal gets deposited at the cathode and the impure metal, it will get dissolved from the anode. These impurities from the metal gas, it will get collected below the anode. These impurities are known as anode mud. Okay, and this is the reaction which takes place. Cu plus 2 times electron will give you Cu. Okay, this is known as electrolytic refining. But don't worry, only this figure will do for this question. Okay. Next question. Define the following oxidation, reduction and redox reactions. Let us address them one by one. First, what is oxidation? According to our modern theory, oxidation is defined as the process in which an atom or ion, it will lose one or more electrons. But with classical interpretation, oxidation means addition of oxygen. When you add oxygen to an element, then you will have some compound. This is known as oxidation. For example, you add oxygen to carbon, you get CO2. That means there is oxidation of carbon. It is like that. Now, let's talk about reduction. It is defined as the process in which an atom or ion gains one or more electrons. This is according to our modern theory. According to classical theory, if you add hydrogen to an element, then you get some compound. That compound will be a reduction compound. Okay, for example, here you have added hydrogen to nitrogen, but here your nitrogen, it will get reducted. That means NH3 is happening. So here reduction of nitrogen is happening. So summary of this is that oxidation means there is loss in electrons. Reduction means there is gain in electrons. There is a simple mnemonic to remember this also. Oil, rig. Oil means oxidation is loss. Rig means reduction is gain. Just to remember this. Okay. Then what are redox reactions? Redox reaction, it can be defined as a chemical reaction in which electrons are transferred between two reactants which are participating in that chemical reaction. There are four types of redox reactions. They are decomposition reaction, combination reaction, displacement reaction and disproportionation reaction. Here I will give you just example for a decomposition reaction, that is NaH will give you Na plus H. After balancing you will have 2 NaH. This NaH is decomposing here into Na and H. Okay. So this is all about oxidation, reduction and redox reactions. See here I may have given little more information for you all. But don't worry, don't compare my answers with what you have written. Okay. So if you have just defined these three reactions, you will get 3 marks there. Okay. I have given little more information. I have given these chemical reactions and I have given you types of redox reaction. Okay. So this is not needed in your exam because it's a 3-mark question, right? They asked you to define, you just define. Okay. This will be bonus if you write this type of reactions and all that. No, if you have time only, then you do this type of things. This will be a bonus. If the evaluator, if he sees all this, maybe he will get impressed and maybe he will give you little more marks if you have done some mistake in the definition. Okay, so this chance you may take if you have time. Okay, this is for your future exam for Gpstr people, and HSTR and TET aspirants, they can follow whatever I am telling. Okay, next question. Give the scientific reasons for the following. First is concentrated acid must always be added slowly to water. That means you have to answer why concentrated acid must always be added slowly to water. See, dilution of concentrated acid, it is an exothermic process. If water is added to a concentrated acid, the heat generated may cause the mixture to splash out and it may cause burns on you. When acid is added to water slowly with constant stirring, then mixture will not fall upon you. It will not splash out. That's the reason why we take precautions while adding acid to water. Next is, why is milk of magnesia used as antacid? Milk of magnesia, it is also known as magnesium hydroxide. It is commonly used to treat indigestion, because when we eat too much, or when we are in depression, then our stomach, it will produce lot of acid, that is hydrochloric acid. Okay, then when we drink milk of magnesia, as this is a base, it will neutralize this HCl, this acid. Okay, and then it will produce a salt called magnesium chloride. So we will get relief from this acidity. That's why we use milk of magnesia as antacid. Next is, why do we use bleaching powder for purification of drinking water? CaOCl2, commonly known as bleaching powder. It is a good disinfecting agent and it is used to kill germs and bacteria in water. This bleaching powder, when exposed to moisture, it will release chlorine, and this chlorine kills off the germs and disinfects that area. Okay, so this is the reason why you use bleaching powder to purify water. So 3 give reasons, 3 marks. Okay, so I may have given you little bit elaborately. Maybe if you write point to point also, they will give you marks. Okay, moving on. Next question. What are isotopes? Write any 2 isotopes of carbon and hydrogen. Isotopes, we have talked about them, right? In our chemistry class, in structure of atom, we have talked about them. Isotopes are atoms of same element with same atomic number and different mass number. They are asking us to write the 2 isotopes of carbon and hydrogen, right? For carbon, it is C612, C613 and C614. And then for hydrogen, it is deuterium and tritium. Next question. Classify the following into saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons. Then write the structural formula of ethane. See, actually, there are 2 types of hydrocarbons. One is saturated hydrocarbons, the other is unsaturated hydrocarbons. In saturated hydrocarbons, they contain only carbon-carbon single bonds. Here you will have maximum number of hydrogens. Okay. For example, alkanes. Their molecular formula, it will always be in this form. CnH2n plus 2. Okay. And for unsaturated hydrocarbons, they contain carbon-carbon double or triple bonds. For example, alkenes and alkynes. For alkenes, the typical formula will be CnH2n. For alkynes, it is CnH2n minus 2. Okay. So you have 3 formulas here. You compare these with the given formula. C3H6, C2H6, C3H4 and CH4. First is C3H6. It is in the form CnH2n, right? So it will belong to alkenes, which are unsaturated hydrocarbons. C2H6, it will belong to alkanes, which are saturated hydrocarbons. Then C3H4, it belongs to alkynes, that is unsaturated hydrocarbons. And CH4, it belongs to saturated hydrocarbons. It is in the form CH4, means 1, C is 1 and H is 2 into 1 plus 2. It is CH4. Okay, that's why CH4 will be saturated hydrocarbon. Then they are asking you to write the structural formula of ethene, right? It is like this. This is the structural formula for ethene. C2H4. It will be ethene. Next. What is an alloy? Write the components of the following alloys: brass and solder. Interestingly, the same question was asked in your maths and science question paper also. But here only they have asked brass and bronze. Here they are asking solder. Okay. So what is an alloy? Alloy, it is a solid mixture of 2 or more metals, and it is made by first melting the constituent metal and then mixing them thoroughly in fixed proportions. Now brass, it is made up of copper and zinc, and solder, it is made up of tin and lead. Okay. So much answer should do for 3 marks. Next question. Write any 2 differences between physical properties of metals and non-metals. So differences means metals means they are malleable and ductile. That means you can make them into thin sheets and into thin wires. But non-metals, they are generally brittle. They can break down into smaller pieces if you try to make them into sheets or into wires. Then metals, usually they are shiny and lustrous, and non-metals, they are not shiny and they are not lustrous. Except iodine, no non-metal is lustrous. Okay. So these 2 points are enough because they are asking, right, 2 differences, right? Then sodium metal is stored under kerosene. Why it is stored under kerosene? Sodium, it is highly reactive metal and it will react vigorously with oxygen, carbon dioxide and moisture which is present in the air. So it may even cause fire with that reaction. So to prevent this explosive reaction, sodium is kept immersed in kerosene because sodium doesn't react with kerosene. Okay, it is like a preservative. Kerosene is like a preservative of sodium. Next question. What are trophic levels? Construct a food chain using given organisms: snake, grass, frog, grasshopper. Similar question was asked in maths and science question paper also. There they asked what are food chains, and then to construct this food chain they have given eagle also there. Okay. Anyway, so various steps in food chain at which the transfer of food or energy will take place. These various steps are known as trophic levels. And then to construct this food chain, first is grass, which is eaten by grasshopper. Then frog eats grasshopper and snake eats frog. If eagle was given, then I would have written eagle in front of snake. Okay. Next question. Differentiate homologous and analogous organs. Give an example for each. Actually, I have given you all the points here to differentiate. You don't need to write so much. If you have written 2 or 3 points, that is more than enough. 2 points will do actually. 2 points for 2 marks. One example for 1 mark. 2 points and 1 example will do. Okay. So these are the differences. Among these, the main differences are that homologous structures, they are developed in related species, and analogous, they are developed in unrelated species. Okay. And they are the result, the homologous structure, they are the result of divergent evolution, whereas analogous structure, they are the result of convergent evolution. Then homologous structures, they are developed as a result of adaptation to a different environment. For example, an arm of a human being, the leg of a dog, or a flipper of a whale or fish, they are all homologous structures. Then analogous structures, they are developed as a result of adaptation to a similar environment. That means wings of birds, bats and insects, and then fins of penguins and fishes, they are all analogous structures. Okay, next question. How manures are different from fertilizers? How do manures are classified based on the usage of biological materials? See, though manure and fertilizers, they will add to the fertility of the soil only, but still they are different from each other. They are obtained from natural sources. Manures, they are obtained from natural sources, whereas fertilizers, they are synthetically manufactured in the factories. Manures, because they are obtained from natural sources, that's why they are eco-friendly. But fertilizers, because they are synthetically manufactured, they harm useful microbes which are present in the soil, and they also decrease the fertility of the soil if they are used for longer time. Okay, so these are the main differences between manures and fertilizers. Now let's talk about how are manures classified based on usage of biological materials. Actually, they are classified as a compost, vermicompost and green manure. So much answer is enough. I have given what is compost, vermicompost and green manure just for your extra information. Okay. For 3 marks question, you write the differences and then you classify them as compost, vermicompost and green manure. Now compost means the farm waste, livestock, excreta, along with vegetable waste, sewage waste, weeds, they all know they are allowed to decompose in a pit. Okay. These all are called compost. Now again in vermicompost, when it is called as vermicompost means when this all matter it is allowed to decompose in that pit along with same earthworms, then the decomposition it will speed up. Okay. Then again same plants they are grown and then again they are covered by plowing them into the soil. This is done before they sow the crops, seeds in that field. Then these green plants that are present in the soil, they act as green manure. Okay, that is green manure. This will enrich the soil in nitrogen and phosphorus. Okay. Next question. Write 3 major events that occur during photosynthesis. So 3 major events are that first chlorophyll, it absorbs light energy. Then again this light energy will be converted to chemical energy and then splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen will happen. Then reduction of carbon dioxide will happen to carbohydrates. Thus their food is prepared. Okay, these are the three major events that occur during photosynthesis. Next question, define the following: evolution, acquired traits, inherited traits. Traits means characters, you can say, characters. Okay, so let's define one by one. Evolution, it is a process of gradual change that takes place over many generations, during which species of animals, plants or insects, they slowly change some of their physical characteristics. Then acquired traits. These traits, they are acquired means they got it by organisms during their lifetime, not passed from one generation to another generation. Okay, for example, swimming, cycling, you do something and you got it. Okay, it's not that it is inherited, it's not that you have got them from your elders. Okay, inherited traits, these are controlled by genes. This is you have got from your elders, means your ancestors, passed on from one generation to the next. Example, if you have red curly hair, brown eyes, or if you look very fair, it's all like that, right? So this is inherited traits. So these 3 points must do for each definition of evolution: acquired traits and inherited traits. Next question, what are fossil fuels? Give 2 examples. Natural resources which are formed from the dead remains of living organisms, they are called fossils, right? They are all known as fossil fuels. These natural resources are known as fossil fuels. Example for fossil fuels means coal, natural gas, petroleum and all that, they are fossil fuels. Next question number 77. Name the hormones in humans that regulate blood sugar level. Growth, puberty related characters in boys. First of all, blood sugar levels means cortisol is the hormone which regulates this. It will actually elevate blood sugar levels. Then growth, for our growth, no, human growth hormone HGH is responsible. Then testosterone, it causes puberty related characters in boys such as muscle mass growth. It strengthens the bones and muscles, it will increase bone density and it will control facial hair growth. Okay. Next question number 78. Calculate the mean for the following data. They have given X and they have given F. So F though they have given, after that you find the cumulative frequency. How you find it? You add 1 by 1. You add 2 and 4. First you write 2 as it is, next you add 2 and 4. It will be 6. Now again add 8 to 6, you get 14. Now again add 3 to this 14, you get 17. Then again add 3 to 17, you get 20. This is how you find cumulative frequency. Then you add it up. Then to find the mean, you take the cumulative frequency sum, which is 59 here, upon frequency, which is 20 here. So this will give you mean. Mean will be equal to cumulative frequency upon Fi. Here answer should be approximately equal to 3. Next question number 79. In a flower bed, there are 23 rose plants in the first row, 21 in the second, 19 in the third and so on. There are 5 rose plants in the last row. How many rows are there in the flower bed? See, number of rose plants in the rows, it is given 23, 21, 19. We don't know how much it will go. Then here A will be 23. Actually, this is arithmetic progression sum. Here A will be 23 and D will be minus 2 because 21 minus 23 will be minus 2. 19 minus 21 will be minus 2, isn't it? Then AN, it will be 5. Why we are telling 5 means there are 5 rose plants in the last row, right? In the last number is 5. That's why nth digit will be 5. Now, we know that AN is equal to A plus N minus 1 into D according to arithmetic progression. We substitute all the values here. AN will be 5, A will be 23 and D will be minus 2. If you substitute, you get N is equal to 10. Okay, actually minus 10, but minus 10 will not make any sense, right? We are talking about number of rows. So, there are 10 rows in the flower bed. Next question. Construct a triangle ABC with sides AB is equal to 6 cm, BC is equal to 6.5 cm and AC is equal to 5.5 cm. See, you take any of the line as a base, it is your wish. Take one line, you draw it. Here I have taken AC, which will be equal to 5.5 cm. Then you measure. For AB, you measure 6 cm. Then you draw an arc by making A as center with the compasses. Then from C, again you take a 6.5 cm measure. You make C as the center, use the compasses, then cut the before arc. When their two arcs meet, no, there is one point. With that point, you join A and C, your triangle will be ready. Next question number 81. The product of two consecutive positive even numbers is 48. Express this statement in quadratic equation form and find the even numbers by solving the equation. See here, let the numbers be x and x plus 2 because they are talking about two consecutive positive even numbers, right? That's why you get x plus 2 after x. Now the product is 48. That's why x into x plus 2 will be 48. Now you got this quadratic equation, right? Here you can also mention that this is the required quadratic equation. You can mention that line here. Then you factorize this, isn't it? It will be easy. 6 8 is 48. You factorize it. X plus 8 into x minus 6 will be equal to 0. So your value of x will be minus 8 or 6. Okay. So the required numbers are 6 and 8. See, you can see that this 6 and 8 are even numbers also, right? So that is the question. Find the even numbers by solving this equation. So once you solve this quadratic equation, obviously you are getting even numbers, and they have asked also even numbers only. So this is like verification also. Okay. So this answer must do. Next question. A rectangular paper of width 14 cm is rolled along its width and a cylinder of radius 20 cm is formed. Find the volume of the cylinder. So a rectangular paper of width 14 cm, it is rolled along its width to form a cylinder. That's why the height of the cylinder will become 14 cm. Then the radius of this cylinder, it will be 20 cm. Then we know that the volume of the cylinder is pi r square h. Substitute the values, put pi is equal to 22/7, r is 20 cm. So multiply 2 times 20 square, 20 into 20 into 14. Now you do some arithmetic, you will get volume of the cylinder is equal to 17,600 cm cube. Okay. Okay, till now we solved all the 3 mark questions. Now let's move on to 4 marks questions. Question number 83. Expand sonar. How does the sonar work? And then they have asked one numerical also they have given. So first let's answer this question about sonar. Sonar means it is sound navigation and ranging. It is a device which utilizes ultrasonic waves to estimate and measure the distance, direction and speed of objects under water. This works on the principle of echo. Okay. Now, how does this sonar work? First of all, it consists of a transmitter and a detector. It is installed in the ship. If you have attended my classes in sound, the chapter sound and physics, then this answer will be very easy for you because we have talked all about this. So a strong beam of ultrasonic waves, it is sent from transmitter first. Then the beam, it will be reflected from the seabed and it is received by an underwater detector which is also mounted on the ship only. And then the time interval between transmission and reception of the ultrasonic signal is noted. Okay, this is all about sonar. Now let's talk about this question. A ship sends out ultrasound that return from the seabed and it is detected after 3.42 seconds. If the speed of the ultrasound in seawater is 1531 meter per second, what is the distance of the seabed from the ship? So we have to find the distance. First of all, what is given? Time taken for the echo. Remember, sonar means echo. Echo means distance traveled will be 2D. Remember from my classes, echo means distance traveled by the sound will be 2D. Remember. So time taken for the echo is 3.42 seconds. It is given. Then the velocity of the sound is 1531 meter per second. It is given. Now we know the distance traveled by sound will be 2D and this will be equal to velocity into time. And we have to find D, right? That's why we put the values here. We substitute and we divide it by 2. So we get D is equal to 2618 meters. Okay. Next question. Name the separation techniques to separate the following mixtures. First is kerosene oil and water. Here to separate kerosene oil and water, they use separating funnel. Actually, I have written this type of sentences, but this is not needed. If you just write separating funnel, they will give you marks. They have asked you to name the separation technique. That's it, right? So separating funnel, it will be used to separate the mixture of two immiscible liquids. Kerosene oil and water, they do not mix with each other. They form different layers. That's why this mixture, it will separate into 2 layers according to the densities. So you use that separating funnel and you separate them. Next is ammonium chloride and salt. The process used or the technique to separate ammonium chloride and salt, it is sublimation. Okay, it is a method in which a solid substance, it will directly change to the gas phase without changing into liquid phase. Next is how do you separate butter from curd? You use centrifugation, right? Even to make your chach or lassi, what you do at home, either you put it in the mixie. In mixie also centrifugation only happens. Or what you do, you take that one stick and you make that raita, right? So that is called centrifugation. Next is separation of dyes in the blank ink. Now the procedure or the separation technique to separate dyes from the black ink is chromatography. It is used to separate those solutes that dissolve in the same solvent. The ink that we use, it has water as a solvent and the dye is soluble in it. Hence this method, chromatography, it can be used to separate dye from black ink. Next question, draw a diagram showing the structure of human excretory system and label. You draw this human excretory system, you have to label kidney and urethra. I have labeled few more parts also, don't worry. If you label just kidney and urethra, that is more than enough. Okay, and this is a simple figure. I am sure that you all must have attempted this question also. So this was the last question of your Gpstr 2022 biological science paper. I hope that my classes helped you, especially this class, in solving the descriptive question paper. As I always say, please evaluate your question paper by yourself and let me know your expected marks. Okay. Also, if you are liking my work, please like the video. Then share my videos with your friends, HSTR, Gpstr, TET aspirants, and then also subscribe to my channel. Okay. Thank you. Bye.